content density there are in these maps, and kind of the philosophy with how dynamic events can impact players going through Heart of Thorns. It seems that the idea is as you play through that map the first time you go into Verdant Brink, the idea isn't you're going to see every single possible event possible. There are so many and they run at different times, and you're only going to be there at a specific time when a meta's only pushed at a certain place, and if you're following the story, you're only going to be there for a while and you'll move on. And the reason they're doing this is very similar to their philosophy back at launch, whether they failed to hit it or not, and that's they don't want people to just blast through content once, feel like it's completely all done and seen, you know, they've really experienced everything, and then have very little incentive to go back to play those new characters or bring that main character back into these other areas. By presenting the game in this way, where you know there's a lot of stuff you still missed and you want to return, people will feel a bit better about going for stuff like masteries. So one sentiment I've heard many people say that I think is short-sighted is this: I think masteries should be really quick to complete. If I haven't completed all the masteries on my first time walking through the content and I have to go back to old areas, that makes it grind, and that makes it bad content, and that is me being forced to replay stuff. And I say it's short-sighted because, number one, you're asking for a mechanic that we don't even have to focus on. It's just kind of happening in the background while you'd be playing the story anyway. But more importantly, you can't look at Guild Wars 2 like that. It isn't a side-scrolling platforming game where with like no paths and you see the entire thing the first time you go through. They're really trying to build into the open world constantly this idea that there will be stuff you miss. So if you do complete it and you don't have all your masteries done, if you haven't even got one mastery done that you've been really focusing on after your first route through, the events are more complicated than you think, and you're going to see stuff you never saw before. Alright, anyway, so there you go, that's the Colin stuff. Let's move on to the new Commander Mastery with Josh. Now, before this live stream, we'd only heard about two. We'd heard about Fractals, which we have no details on, and we had heard about Precursor Crafting, which we have heard some details